You've just got hit with the DWI, and now DPS is threatening to suspend your license before you've ever even been to court. You're still figuring out what's next, and suddenly you're facing deadlines, hearings, and the risk of losing your ability to drive. I'm Barrett. I've handled license suspension cases all over Texas, and most people don't realize there's a way to fight this if you act fast. This video walks you through the exact steps to protect your license after a DWI arrest so you don't miss your window, don't get blindsided, and keep your ability to drive while your case plays out. Here's the truth. In Texas, when you're arrested for DWI, the police don't just take you to jail, they usually take your driver's license too, even before your court case is finished. And this can happen in two big ways. First, if you refuse a breath or blood test, or if you take the test and it's over the legal limit, that's 0.08% blood alcohol, by the way, the officer will hand you a piece of paper. This paper is your temporary driver's permit. It's good for 40 days. But here's the catch. Unless you act quickly, your license will be suspended after those 40 days, not after your court date, not after you're convicted. You can lose your license just for the arrest and test result alone. This isn't a judge's decision, it's an administrative suspension from the Texas Department of Public Safety, or DPS for short. Now, if you're convicted in court later on, you can get hit with a second suspension on top of that. But most people don't even realize their license is on the line right now before they ever even see a judge. This is where the secret comes in. If you remember one thing from this video, let it be this. In Texas, you only have 15 days from the date of your arrest to fight your license suspension. Let me say that again, just 15 days. Most people miss this. They think, I'll deal with it in court later on, or I'll talk to the DA when I go to my first hearing. But by then, it's too late. Here's how it works. When you're arrested for DWI, the officer will give you that temporary permit, usually stapled to your ticket or paperwork. There's fine print at the bottom that tells you about your right to request an ALR hearing. That's short for Administrative License Revocation. Remember that 40-day temporary driving permit from earlier? If you, or I as your attorney, request a hearing with DPS within 15 days of your arrest, your license will not be automatically suspended after those 40 days. Instead, you get to keep driving until that hearing is held, and that can take weeks or even months before a hearing is scheduled. But if you miss that 15-day deadline, you lose this right. There's no appeal. DPS will start your suspension automatically, and there's almost nothing you can do about it. So the biggest secret to keeping your license after a Texas DWI arrest is acting fast within those first 15 days. Even if you think you might be guilty, or even if you failed the breath test, you should always request the ALR hearing. It buys you time, and sometimes it leads to keeping your license entirely. So what is this ALR hearing and what actually happens? Unlike your criminal case, this is a civil hearing, kind of like a mini trial, but just about your license. Weird, right? It's sometimes held at a county courthouse, but most times it's held over a Zoom call. The state has to prove two basic things. Either you refused to take the blood or breath test, or your test showed you were over the legal limit. If they can't prove one of those, the judge can't suspend your license. But here's the thing. This is where having an experienced Texas DWI attorney can make all the difference. At the ALR hearing, your lawyer can challenge the evidence. Maybe the officer didn't follow the right procedures. Maybe the breathalyzer wasn't working properly. Maybe there was no probable cause for the stop in the first place. Let me give you an example. I had a client we'll call Joe, who was stopped coming home from watching a Cowboys game. The officer said he was weaving, but the dash cam video clearly showed that he wasn't. At the ALR hearing, we were able to show the judge the video, and the judge agreed stop wasn't justified, so Joe kept his license. But you don't get this chance if you don't request the hearing within 15 days. Now, maybe you're watching this after the 15-day window, or maybe you went to your ALR hearing and lost. Does that mean you're totally out of luck? Not quite. Texas allows for something called an occupational license, sometimes called an essential needs license. This is basically a restricted license that lets you drive to work, school, and essential errands even while your regular license is suspended. It doesn't happen automatically though. You have to apply through the court. This process can be quite tricky, but with the right paperwork, you can often get court permission to keep driving, usually with some restrictions. You might have to install an ignition interlock, keep a driving log, or limit your hours on the road. Let me tell you about another client. She was a single mom who worked 2 jobs. She missed that 15-day deadline because she just didn't know about it. When her license was suspended, she called to hire us, and we went to court, got her an occupational license within a week. She had to drive only to work and daycare, but she kept her job and kept her kids fed. It's not as convenient as a full license, but it's a lifeline for a lot of Texans. Now you're probably wondering, if I do get suspended, how long am I off the road? Well, it depends on several things. For a first-time DWI arrest, if you refuse the breath or blood test, it's up to 180 days. If you took the test and failed, it's up to 90 days. Complicated, right? If you have prior alcohol or drug-related contacts in the past 10 years, those suspension periods can actually double. And remember, if you're later convicted of DWI, the court can add another suspension anywhere from 90 days to 2 years, depending on your record and whether you've had a minor in the car or other factors. But the real key is to fight at every single stage. From day one, your best shot is to never let the first suspension happen, or at least keep your driving rights with an occupational license. I want to be honest with you. Fighting a DWI license suspension in Texas isn't easy. The state has teams of lawyers and troopers who do this every day, and they don't cut corners. But you have rights. The ALR hearing is more than just a speed bump. It's a real shot to challenge the evidence, cross-examine the officer, and even get information that can help your criminal case down the road. We characterize this as locking the officer into testimony. That way they can't conveniently testify a different way later on at trial. I've seen so many people lose their license just because they didn't know they could fight, or they waited too long to take action. Don't let that happen to you. If you're facing a DWI arrest, talk to an attorney right away, ideally within that first 15-day window. Bring all your paperwork from the arrest and let your lawyer help you figure out the best move. Even if you think your case is hopeless, you might be surprised by what we can do. So let's put it all together. If you're arrested for DWI in Texas, your license is in danger right away. The state will try to suspend it automatically, often before you ever even see a judge. The secret to keeping your license is to act immediately within 15 days of your arrest by requesting that ALR hearing. At that hearing, you, or better yet, I, as your attorney, can fight the evidence and sometimes win. If you do get suspended, we don't give up. Ask about an occupational license to keep you on the road for work, school, and family. The key is speed, knowledge, and the right help. If this helped you understand your next move, you're going to want to watch our next video. DWI in Texas, 5 secrets to get your case dismissed. In that one, I'll pull back the curtain on what prosecutors don't tell you and how real people have walked away from a DWI charge, record clean. If you care about your future, that's the must-watch video to make sure you protect your record, your job, and your freedom. See you over there.